Some Chrisley Knows Best fans may want to know if Todd Chrisley is still in debt. It may be hard to imagine, given the family's luxurious lifestyle. Keep reading to find out what we know. Recap of the Chrisleys' financial situation. TV shows Ace recently reports on how much money the Chrisleys make per episode of their USA Network hit show Chrisley Knows Best. The intrigue about the net worth of the Chrisleys seems to stem from the financial scrutiny Todd and Julie Chrisley have been under for several years now. The exact dollar amount the family makes per episode is unknown for inquiring minds. According to reality star Facts, Savannah Chrisley's annual contract is $250,000 for the show. So that would mean she makes about $10,000 an episode of Chrisley Knows Best. So how is the Chrisley Knows Best patriarch Todd Chrisley doing financially? Life and Style reports that Todd Chrisley's net worth is actually in the negative to a tune of about $5 million. Todd made his initial fortune nearly exclusively in real estate. However, in 2012, the former millionaire filed for bankruptcy. At that time, he claimed $4.2 million in assets and $50 million in debt. In 2013, Chrisley Asset Management filed for corporate bankruptcy. Chrisley Knows Best is Todd Chrisley still in debt. It seems that things haven't gotten any better for Todd Chrisley. Distractify reports that as of 2021, Todd's net worth is still in the negative. So how do the Chrisleys still afford to live such a lavish lifestyle? The simple answer is that Julie Chrisley has money. Todd's wife's estimated net worth is about $3 million. Robert Furr, Todd Chrisley's attorney, says, Julie has her own money. This is money that she lent him over the years for his business. It's as simple as that. The outlet claims that she lent him about $4 million at one point. It is speculated that the older kids bring in a lot of money with their various businesses. Did you know Todd Chrisley had so much debt? Does it shock you that Julie likely lends him money? Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Once known for his perfectly pressed suits, dazzling designer labels, and larger-than-life Southern swagger, Todd Chrisley built a television empire on the image of wealth. With his signature catchphrases and ironclad control over his household, Todd gave viewers a taste of what it meant to live like Southern royalty. But beneath the chandeliers and confetti-sprinkled birthday parties featured on Chrisley Knows Best, a far messier financial truth was brewing. In 2022, that truth unraveled in court. Todd and his wife Julie were convicted on multiple counts of bank fraud, tax evasion, and conspiracy. Since then, questions about their fortune, or lack thereof, have swirled like smoke from a burning credit report. The biggest question that continues to follow Todd Chrisley, even as he serves time in federal prison, is he still in debt? The answer, like everything in the Chrisley universe, is layered in luxury, scandal, and just a hint of Southern drama. The rise of Chrisley riches. Before Todd became a reality TV icon, he was a real estate mogul in Georgia with a penchant for high-risk, high-reward investments. He famously claimed to have built a $45 million fortune by flipping properties and building Chrisley Asset Management from the ground up. But as Chrisley Knows Best soared in popularity after its 2014 debut, Todd's image transitioned from businessman to TV royalty. With shows like Growing Up Chrisley and guest appearances on talk shows and red carpets, the family brand exploded. Everything seemed golden. But eagle-eyed fans started asking questions. Why was the IRS circling? Why did court documents surface showing massive loans, lawsuits, and, at one point, bankruptcy filings? The answer came crashing down in a federal courtroom in Atlanta. The conviction heard around reality TV. In June 2022, Todd and Julie Chrisley were convicted of submitting false documents to banks to secure over $30 million in loans, then using that money to fund a lavish lifestyle, complete with designer shopping sprees, luxury cars, and a closet that rivaled a department store. According to prosecutors, they didn't just spend money they didn't have. They lied to get it, and then lied again to cover it up. It wasn't just tax evasion. It was a web of deceit spanning years, banks, and more than a few falsified financial statements. The fallout was swift. Todd was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Julie received a 7-year sentence. Their shows were canceled. Brand deals vanished. And the IRS came calling again. What's owed? And to whom? Let's talk numbers. As of the time of his conviction, court documents revealed that Todd Chrisley still owed millions in back taxes, though some of those debts were reportedly paid down during the investigation. A large portion remained unresolved. In 2012, he filed for bankruptcy, claiming $49 million in debt and just $4.2 million in assets. Fast forward a decade, and the numbers may have shifted, but the pattern didn't. Todd's brand of fake it till you make it had reached its breaking point. Now, with federal restitution on the table, it's estimated that the Chrisleys owe over $17 million in restitution, taxes, and penalties combined. The exact amount may vary depending on asset liquidation and ongoing court appeals, but one thing is clear: the debts are far from gone. And here's the catch: being in prison doesn't stop the interest from building. What about the Chrisley fortune? Todd Chrisley was once the face of a family empire. But the mansion life didn't come with a safety net. After the show was canceled and the real estate ventures dried up, the family began to rely heavily on appearances, podcast sponsorships, and side businesses. Savannah Chrisley, who now has custody of her brother Grayson and niece Chloe, has stepped up to support the family. She continues to run her podcast Unlocked, frequently addressing the legal chaos and financial stress. She's also taken on brand partnerships and has hinted at launching a clothing line and more. But any revenue she earns likely doesn't go far toward resolving her parents' debts. As for Todd, in prison, he earns no income. Any royalties or back payments he's owed are likely being seized to repay debts or restitution. And the government has its eye on any assets that haven't already been liquidated or repossessed. So, is Todd still in debt? In short, yes. Todd Chrisley remains in debt, deeply. Between restitution, legal fees, lingering tax bills, and penalties, his financial future is essentially frozen. Even if his sentence is reduced or appealed, the debts won't simply disappear. What makes his case especially compelling is how public the downfall has been. He built a brand on affluence. Now, even that image has been repossessed. The only potential path to solvency lies in post-prison ventures: books, interviews, documentaries. But with felony convictions on his record and court-ordered repayments looming, it's unlikely he'll see much personal profit from any of it. A family rebuilding amid the rubble. Despite the financial wreckage, the Chrisley name hasn't faded from headlines. Savannah, Chase, and even Nanny Faye continue to appear on social media and in podcast spaces. There's talk of a documentary, a book deal, even a reboot of some kind centered around the younger generation. But it's not about riches anymore. As Savannah said during an emotional podcast episode, "We may have lost everything financially, but we found out who we really are, and who's really there when everything else is stripped away." In some ways, that's the most valuable asset left in the Chrisley vault: resilience.